Hi all, welcome to my channel, welcome to my world. This is the world of Wayne. Do you like this shirt? I'll tell you about that in a second, because today we're going to be doing the next 4 stages of the Fanhome release and build the Back to the Future DeLorean.
Are we back? We're back.
I mean, look, check that out. How cool is that? I keep saying that I'm going to be having these sort of shirts for every single video I do. Now, if you remember from last time, we in pack 1, we had created the back end of the car, looking like that. And we also had the wing, which we added a little bit of trim to, like that. Now, today, we're going to be doing the iconic thing of the Mr. Fusion box and the Reactor box. We're also going to start on the suspensions. So that's going to be quite interesting. Now, we do have something additional in this pack. And that is, first off, we've got the brochure, which tells you all about the build here. And it tells you all about everything you've got inside, from the lit dashboard to the lit time circuits, to the buttons which are going to operate all of these, to the working headlights, working rear lights, everything that this car has actually got. And also in this build, it does show you the free gifts that you get during the build. Now, this might not be current depending on when you watch the video, but this is what it is at the time of doing this video here. Now, also in this pack, as you can see, we've got some prints. So let's open these up and have a look at them. These are pretty impressive. Look at that. So we've got this one here. We've got that one there. And we've got the out of time one looking just like that. Excellent prints these are. Now, if you want to get this for yourself, I have put a link down here and in the video description. You can get this all the way from pack 1. So in pack 2, we are going to be starting with the Mr. Fusion Reactor. We are also going to be doing a wheel, and we're going to be doing the suspension as well. So without further ado, let's get cracking. So in stage 3, this is what it looks like, and this is the magazine here. Let's go through it. As you can see, we've got the first wheel that we're going to be putting together here. Once it's all together, that's the end of that stage. But again, I will just show you what's through the rest of the magazine here. And once again, these magazines are collection items in themselves. And as you can see, in the next pack, we have got the Mr. Fusion Reactor. So this is what the first wheel looks like, just like this here. What we're going to do first is put in one side of the rim. This rim is metal. That's just going to go in here. And push that all the way in like that. So it's nice and flat there. On the other side, we have got the hub looking like this. Now this hub does have lugs at the back, which we need to line up with the holes here. So I'm just going to get all of that lined up here so I can see them from the other side. And they're going to be held in with these BP screws. So one in there. If you just put them in lightly to start off with, don't make them over tight, and that will enable you to be able to get all 3 of these in and then tighten them up together. There we go, that's the third one, and then make them tight. Now you are going into plastic, so don't make them too tight, just enough to hold everything together. There you go. So that looks just like that, and we've created the first wheel. Now, to start with stage, we have got a washer, which we're going to store in there for a later time. And we've got the hubcap to do, which again, we can push into the center there, and that's there for a later time as well. Now, when it comes to fitting this onto the car, I'm actually going to be taking these hubcaps off and storing them to the very end of the build. And then I'll put them on as the very last thing that we do, because there is a time where we do have to take the wheel off again. But for storage at the moment, it's fine to leave it like that, because that's all there is to do in that stage. Okay, this is probably the first big stage of the build. We're going to be doing the Mr. Fusion Reactor here. And as you can see, we have got the initial reactor, which was from Back to the Future 1. And then we've got the parts for the Mr. Fusion, which we saw at the end of Back to the Future 1, going into the other films as well. Once that's done, as again, you can see through the magazine, everything to do with the Back to the Future films. And it looks like we're doing the suspension going forward. So let's do this. And check that out. Everything we've got in the pack looking like this. Right. The first thing we need are these 2 parts of the reactor. So what I'm going to do is this top part here has got a locating lug at the back. That's just going to go into this point here. And it lines up the 2 holes at the bottom there for us to put some screws in. We're actually going to be putting some AP screws in there. So that's one. And that one's two. Now this reactor has a small notch on the side there, which is just going to go into this notch here. So what we want to do is push this in here and then rotate it round so it actually fits in by itself there, and that will log itself in. Then we do have this cover to go in. That's just going to go on top like that, and I'm screwing this in with AP screws. The cover is clear. Whoops, get this lined up. And as you can see, that holds itself in, and that's what the reactor looks like. We can put that to one side because now we're going to make the Mr. Fusion reactor. And to do that, we've got two parts of that looking like this, which we're just going to piece together quite simply like this. Making sure everything lines up and clips in. And we do have holes for 3 screws in there. Once again, the screw of choice for this build, AP screws. This is going to hold this into place. So, one there. I am going to use my thinner screwdriver. This is my PH0 screwdriver for this. One there. And then just one on the other side, just here. Now we've got the Mr. Fusion chamber here, which is a transparent piece, and a lid, which looks just like that, which is just going to be a pressing going on the top here. So it looks one complete unit like that. This isn't glued in, just so you know. What it is doing is it is just going to go into this section here. So there is a locating lug at the bottom. We can just push that in. Now it does hold itself in. If you want to glue that, whatever you do, do not use super glue on this because you'll frost this glass up. You need to use something like micro crystal clear or a PVC glue that will dry clear. That will hold that into place. My one, as you can see, actually holds no problems at all, so I'm not doing that. Now we have this transparent lid, which is just going to go over the top here, and it's a push-in like that. So we've pretty much got a completed chamber there now. Put that to one side. Now, time for the fiddly stuff. What I recommend is get yourself some magnifying glasses like this, because we're going to be putting some springs in. I'm going to show you an easy way how to do that. Now, the first thing to do is we need to put this hinge joint into the cover looking like this. So this is just going to go in here, and it's going to be held in with an AP screw each side. So that's one. Just one on the other side here. And that one there is two. Perfect. So we've got a hinge on that cover there. Now this whole thing we've just got here is going to go onto the surround here. So it's just going to fit into the side that we can see the hole. It's going to fit in just like that. Once again, held in with an AP screw. And now that means that we have got a lid which can open and close. Now on top of this, we're going to be putting the Mr. Fusion chamber here. So open it up, align the chamber with the holes that you can see there. And then that's going to be screwed in with an AP screw again. Perfect. So now we've got that whole thing on top there. Put that to one side. And now we're going to create the latch. So we need these two parts for that. And basically this black part is just going to feed onto this part through there, just that way round like that. Now that's going to be held in with 2 CP screws for each side. Now these are really, really tiny screws, but they should be able to be held with the screwdriver that comes with the kit or a PH0 screwdriver. So this is why I've got my magnifying glasses on. So I can get these in. So there's one that side and one the other side there. Now this is going to go on the side of the reaction chamber, so that basically this is going to be a latch which is going to hold this into place. There is a locating lug on there, so if I just put that locating lug in, just to give you an idea of how that's going to look when it's in, it should look just like that there. Now I'm going to hold that in with an AP screw, just one AP screw. That's perfect. And now that latch is in place And it's going to hold that down like that. Now, in this little area here, we're going to be putting 2 springs. Now, if we were just to put the springs in here, I guarantee they're going to ping off in all directions. So what I'm going to do, this is what the springs look like, is actually just take this all apart again. Just wanted to show you how that goes. And the reason for that is because I want to expose the 2 pegs that we've got here. I'm about to put some glue just on those pegs. Now this is a break from the instructions, but I am going to make your life easier by doing this. So you want to just put a touch of glue on each peg there. Like that. Get yourself some tweezers. And you want to put these springs over the pegs to keep them into place. Make sure they're standing upright. So there's one there and there's one there. And leave that to dry. Now this is probably a good time to then just take the hinges off this red side here. So just remove those 2 tiny screws that we put in place. I wanted to show you how the instructions want you to do it and how I'm doing it, because this will make your life a lot easier. I'm then going to be putting this bracket on where it goes just onto the side of the chamber there and hold it in with an AP screw. And as you can see, that's now in like that. What you want to do then is grab one of the small CP screws and put it through the bottom of that bracket so that they come up through the other side. So one there and one here. Perfect. Then all we're going to do is take the now dry little red catch with the springs and put the springs over the shafts of the screws we just put in. Just like that. Load up a CP screw and then just put this hinge back in place. So one on that side and one on the other side. So they look like that. Those screws do kind of go at an angle when you do it this way, but it does mean that the hatch is now spring loaded, as you can see there, and that will keep that closed. And just open it, just open the hatch, then that opens. Just makes that section a whole lot easier, and as you can see, the springs are in place, no problems at all there. All we're going to do then is put this Mr. Fusion reactor here on top of the metal base plate, like that. And that's going to be held in from the underside again with AP screws, just into the 3 holes that you can see here. So that's 1, 2, and 3. So the Mr. Fusion reactor is in place, and that is all there is to do in that stage. Quite an iconic thing, very fiddly stage, but I think if you follow the way I've done it, it makes things a lot easier. So stage 5, looking like this. This is the magazine. We're going to start the suspension. Now, you're definitely going to need oil for this, because there's going to be a lot of screwing into metal. We need to make sure we get this right. So that's what we're doing in this stage. We've got the brake disc there as well. And then a little bit more about the movie, Lee Thompson there, Crispin Glover. And again, by the end of the next stage, we're going to have the suspension and the hub carrier in place. So everything in stage 5 is in here. Check that out. Now, all of these parts are metal, and the first 2 parts we need look just like this. Now, the way this is going to be going is this little hinge section here is going to be going into the slots on both sides. So this is going to go into there like that. It should be able to move up and down in there, but we need to put a screw in. So we're going to be putting an AM screw just in this hole. Lots of screws in this pack, but anything with an M on, ensure you are putting it in oil. Because if you don't, you're going to find these screws quite hard to push in. So that's one on that side. Put one on the other side. And there we go. They're in just like that. Now, I do want there to be enough so it can actually come up and down. That's fine. I've got the suspension strut here, which is going to be going through the hole at the bottom there. And it's going to be attached either side, once I've lined it up, into holes here and here with some BM screws. And again, into some oil, line up the hole and get this into place. So one that side and one the other side. Perfect. On top of that little strut there, we're going to be having the spring. That's going to go down like that. And I need to compress this onto this top section here so that I can actually fold that down into position like that. I'm going to hold that in with a screw at the top here. That's an EM screw. This is a flange screw. And once again, into some oil. Make sure that that shaft is engaged all the way in here, so it comes out the top there. You can probably just about see that. Get the EM screw in with some oil on it, nice and tight, so it's not going to spring off. Excellent. So that should now look like that. We then got our first wishbone to put on, which is going to go over the top into the 2 holes either side. So this is going to go on just like that there. And again, that's held in with CM screws from each side. These are quite long screws, but once again, I am putting these in oil. You do want to make sure you put this on the right way. It needs to be this way around. So what I've done is I've loaded the CM screws already up into this, so I can now push this over to line it up. It should make screwing these in a lot easier. So one here. Excellent. Just put the one in on the other side. They've got in perfect. Okay, let's tighten these up. Not too tight, but tight enough that they're not too wobbly. So that one's okay there. And that one's okay there. And as you can see, there is quite a bit of resistance in there to get them up and down. We're then going to be putting this hub carrier into place, which is basically going to be going into the top of this section here. So this section here is going into the top of the wishbone we just put in, like that. That's going to be held in with a DM screw. It might be worth letting you know that the bottom one here is going onto the bottom section as well. So when I put this on, I'm going to clamp it in. It's going to go on like that. So there's going to actually be a DM screw in the top and the bottom. But for that reason, it might be better to put this bottom one in first. Very fiddly, but got that in. This is why you need oil, because if you haven't got oil, you're going to have a hard time screwing this in. If you are having a hard time even with oil, undo the screw and then screw it back in again. And just keep doing that until you can get it in all the way. Undo, redo. And just go a little bit further each time. Undo, redo. Excellent. Let's put the top one in. Same technique. Tighten it up. Lots of oil in there. Undo, redo. And just go a little bit further each time. Undo, redo. Then once you're happy with that, tighten them up both sides. There should be quite a bit of resistance on there, but that is the hub carrier in place like that. Now we've got this tiny section here and a spring, which is just going to go over that shaft of this tiny plastic section there. This is going to be going into the brake disc here. So it's going to go into the larger hole that you see there. So let's get that in on this side with the spring still attached to it, like that. And in the other side here, I'm going to be putting a DP screw. Now this is a flange screw. Just going through this side here. Make sure you put it in straight. That's in all the way. And as you can see now, this spring enables that to move like that. This is going to help with the drop down mechanism of the wheels. So make sure that that bit's there is perfect. All we got left to do then is take the caliper. And that's just going into the 3 holes on this side like this. And it's going to be held in with one AP screw just from the other side here. Perfect. And then this whole brake disc is going to be going on what we've just created here. So if you look at this side of the brake, we do have a hole in here. We're going to be taking this and it's just going to go over the top there, held in with a DM screw. Again, I'm going into metal. The magnet should hold it into place. There's a magnet on this. That will hold that bracket into place. So let me show you how this works. That spring is now keeping that in, but when it's not, it comes down like that, and then it will clip back into place like that. That's how this system should work. Now, what you might want to do is just tighten this screw up here. I'm going to put a little bit of oil around it because that is a pivot point, and I don't want that grinding too much. So I'm going to put some oil just around that screw. Just tighten this up a touch more, because that's the screw that's going to dictate how stiff this is. If you don't have it loose, this will just flop down. But you do need it to be quite secure to be able to hold itself in each position there. But that is all there is to do in that stage. I'm hoping I've helped you out with that. So in the last stage of this pack, this is stage 6, we're going to be doing again, looks like we're doing the other side now, and doing exactly what we've just done. So we should be professionals at this. So I'll flick through the magazine and we'll get working on that stage now. So once again, that's everything we've got in there. Let's do this. So we need these 2 sections here first. And just like last time, this is going to go in here, held in with AM screws. Put the suspension strut in through the hole here. Line up the holes on each side. And then that's going to be screwed in with BM screws from each side. Have an EM screw at the ready, already pre-dipped in oil, because we're about to put the spring over the top here, compress it down, just like that, and then get this screw in the top. Use my bigger screwdriver, that will drive that fully home. Take the wishbone, that's going to be going over the top of this section here, held in with the large CM screws. Open some DM screws, get them ready, put them in a bit of oil, because we're going to be putting the hub carrier on again. And I'm going to line the bottom hole up first. So the bottom hole's here. Get the screw through the hole. Make sure you got oil on this, and then once again, when we're screwing this, screw it in, take it out a bit, screw it in, take it out a bit, until you can get that all the way in, and then use another DM screw just to secure the top side in. And again, that's in like that. Excellent. Take the small tab and the spring, put that over this section, and then grab a DP screw. Again, this is going to go in the large hole of the brake disc here, and holding it in with this flange DP screw. Perfect. So again, we should be able to click that like that there. Put the caliper on top, and once again we're holding that in with an AP screw just from this side. And then all that's left to do is let that magnet just come into position on the wheel there. It lines up this hole ready for this DM screw, which again, I'm going to put that in oil, but what I am going to do, once again, is just put some oil around that bit there, because that is going to be on a pivot. Excellent. And then get this one in here like this. And you do want that in quite tight. So the oil's helping there. That's in. And again, you know it's going to be tight because it should be able to hold its own weight in different positions like that. If this just flops down, tighten that DM screw up. But that should click in with a magnet as well. But that's all there is to do in that stage. That's all there is to do in that pack. There was quite a few things to do in that, but I'm hoping that if you've tackling this for the first time, I've gave you some advice on how to make this a lot easier for you. These are probably the most important thing, because you do want to make sure that when the wheels are down on the DeLorean, they're not going to flop around. So that makes that happen perfectly. Very happy with how that went, but the recording time for this was just over an hour. So you can imagine how long it took just to get through those 4 stages. Bear in mind, we did a wheel as well. Now, once again, if you want to get this for yourself, I have put a link down here to the Fanhome website. You can get this all the way from pack 1. But I really hope you liked that video. If you did, please remember to give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed already, please remember to subscribe. Other than that, take care.